In this video, we will do something that no other vibe coding tutorial has done before. We will use Rocket to build a real app from scratch that will function perfectly as a web app as well as a mobile app, using the same backend. And this isn't going to be just some demo project. We will build a fully functioning app for a real-life use case that will have user authentication, user permissions, payment processing, as well as custom functionality. We will integrate the project with Supabase for the backend, Stripe for payments, Resend for email confirmations, as well as Twilio for SMS notifications. And the wild part is that we are going to do all of this without writing a single line of code. So no matter your previous technical experience, you'll be able to follow along this tutorial to learn how to use Rocket to bring any of your ideas into reality. But without further ado, let's get right into building. So first up, what will we actually build in this video? Well, for this video, I want to build an event management platform. The platform should have hosts, attendees, as well as staff. The hosts will be able to sign up on the platform and then list their events with all of the necessary details for the attendees to book. The attendees should be able to explore our web app, find different events, and then book them directly on there, with the platform being able to process the payments and then generate QR tickets for the attendees. The hosts of the event should then be able to add staff to the events that they create, so that the staff can actually scan the QR codes that were generated for the attendees when they purchase their ticket. So when you get started with Rocket, this is the screen that you'll be greeted with. To get started with our build, we can click on the web app option at the top of the chat window and start typing in our prompt. Now, as the prompt will be the foundation of our app, it's important that we get it right. And to help you do so, we will leave a link in the description down below to our Rocket prompting guide. You'll be able to go through the document to understand how to craft the best prompt possible for Rocket to understand what you're trying to build. Okay, now that I've got my prompt here ready, I'm gonna click send. So in my prompt, I first described what I want our app to look like. I told it that it should aim for a poster grid look that feels editorial and premium. Then I told it a little bit about the colors that it should use, what the landing page should look like, and then I told it what the app should look like once the user actually signs in. The tidy left sidebar, a top search with filters, and a responsive grid for the actual events, as well as the details of the event. And then I explained to it what the host's dashboard should look like, with all of the different details that the event cards will need. Once you send your prompt to Rocket, it will start processing it. Then within a few seconds, it will ask us to select the framework that we want to build it. We can either customize the framework or we can use the default framework, which is what I'm going to do. Then after a little bit more thinking, Rocket will present us with the different screens for our app. You can select the ones that you want, but I'm going to choose all of them and then proceed. A quick note here is that the more screens that you choose, the more tokens Rocket will use. On the free plan, you get 1 million tokens, which is more than enough to build a basic MVP, a landing page, or a website. Now, after we select the screens, Rocket will get right to work and we can actually see the code being written on the screen as it starts generating our app. You'll also see on the left side all of the different screens that it's generating, as well as the progress of each one. As each screen is completed, Rocket will show us on the left side the green tick and completed. Now, you do not need to have this page open for Rocket to continue generating. You can close the page, do some other work, come back and have your app ready. And if you still have the tab open, Rocket will actually play a sound that you'll be able to hear to know that everything is complete. Okay, our app has been generated and we can now see the preview. I'm gonna quickly resize it here and then click full screen to see the app in full screen. On the top, we can actually click to navigate the different pages. Here we can see the event details. You can scroll down. Here we have the different tickets at the different pricing. We can actually add it to cart. Then let's go to attendee management. Okay, here we can actually see the different attendees to our events if we were a host. Here we have the host dashboard. Looks good. Let's go to the attendee information. Looks good as well. Let's check out the event discovery page. Perfect as well. We've got the different filters here. Now, right now our app is actually using dummy data. There is no actual integration, so we can't create events and we cannot sign in. So for that, we're going to integrate Supabase. Supabase is a great backend app that will allow us to create a database, authentication, and even file storage. In our case, we will use Supabase to have user authentication, so users can sign up and sign in into our app. The users will be able to sign up as hosts, attendees, or staff, and we will make sure that each one has the correct permissions. So only the hosts can create events, The attendees can only book events, and the staff will actually be able to check in our attendees to the events using the QR code functionality that we will generate later. We'll also use Supabase as the database to actually store the events that are created, as well as bookings and all other information to actually make our platform function. And lastly, we'll also use it as file storage to store things like user profile pictures as well as event images. Now, if you're building any kind of web app, Supabase will probably be the first thing that you integrate. For anything database, user and storage related, Supabase is the go-to. Now, to integrate Supabase within our project, I'm just gonna tell Rocket to do exactly that. I'm gonna tell Rocket to integrate Supabase with our application for user authentication based on role with access to the screens that are needed for them, and then just send that through. Now Rocket will ask us to select a Supabase project. We can click on that, give it a project name, set a password, choose the region where most of our users will be from, and then click Create New Project. Rocket has generated the schema for our Supabase integration. We can actually click on it and then see exactly what it has done to check that it got everything correct. If we are happy with it, we can just click Push to Supabase. Okay, that's been completed, but before we proceed, I'm also gonna tell Rocket to protect the routes to the different screens for logged in users only, as well as manage role-based access in the appropriate user role. Like events can only be created by event hosts only. That's been completed, so let's now test it out. We've got the user logins here at the bottom, so I'm just gonna use them to sign in as the user first. Okay, the sign in worked. Let's try booking an event. Okay, it takes us to the discovery page. Then we have my events page. It looks slightly off. We'll have to fix this a little bit. But on the top, we still have create event page as well as the host dashboard, which is wrong. The user should not be able to see that. So let's quickly fix that. I'm gonna click on selective edit in the top right. Then I'm gonna select this entire header section. And as you can see in the chat, actually it's been selected. So here we can actually prompt Rocket telling it that this header, my events, create and the host dashboard are for event host, so don't show them to the user. Okay, that's now been completed. If you want to, we can actually click on the code diff in the bottom, and we can see the differences in code that have been made. In red, we can see the code that has been deleted, and in the green, the code that has been added. Okay, for some reason we're not signed in now, but the discover page works fine. Let's click on sign in. Okay, and we were brought back to the user dashboard. So we can see that the login management is still not working quite well. So I'm just gonna prompt it to manage logged in user session across the entire app so that it works on all screens. Okay, that's been completed. Let's test it out again. I'm gonna click on my events. Okay, it's working. My bookings, history, for you, all looks good here. Let's click on book event. Then let's try out discover. Let's try signing out. That works. Okay, and let's try signing in as a host. Okay, as we can see, the host has a different header. We got discover, create event, host dashboard, and event management. Okay, but we are missing one thing. We don't have the screen to actually manage the check-in stuff. So I'm just gonna prompt Rocket to add that as well. Okay, I noticed that after signing in, the header is actually not consistent. So I just prompted Rocket to fix that and to create a wrapper component so that the header is consistent on every page, as well as adding a staff management option in the menu. That's now been complete. However, the events right now are still mock data. So let's integrate Supabase for the events as well, so that we can actually show, edit, and delete events. And after that's been completed, I also prompted Rocket to create a Supabase bucket for storing event images. A Supabase bucket is basically your cloud storage for any kinds of files that are uploaded to the app, so that the app can actually use them. In our case, the hosts will be able to upload an image so that they can actually show it on their event listing. And another fix here, I told Rocket to make sure that the detail page of the event also displays the data from the Supabase project. Okay, that's all been completed and our data is displaying properly. However, our staff management still doesn't work properly, so I'm just gonna prompt Rocket to allow event hosts to manage staff and assign them to the events. Okay, now that's been updated. However, the pop-up doesn't seem to be closing, so I'm just gonna prompt Rocket to fix that as well. Now that we've integrated Supabase for the user authentication as well as a database for the events, next thing I've done is prompted Rocket to create QR code functionality. Basically what happens is when a new event is created on Rocket, it generates an ID which is then converted into a QR code. Then I'll show you later on, our staff will be able to scan the QR code, which Rocket will then be able to convert back into IDs and actually check to make sure that it's correct to check in the attendees. I also prompted Rocket to integrate Stripe so that the payment functionality actually works. I'm not gonna go over it in this video as it's gonna be way too long, but you can click the link in the description to see our documentation on integrating Stripe. It is as straightforward as the Supabase integration. Now with Stripe, you'll be able to add any kind of payment functionality to your app. So if you wanted to have an app with a subscription model, you can use Stripe for that. Or let's say you wanted to make a marketplace where you take a small commission fee for each item sold. You can do that with the Stripe integration as well, which is exactly what we did in our previous video where we built out a marketplace for services. The users were able to book these services through the app that we built, and we used Stripe to process these payments. Now let's actually check the booking flow in our app and make sure that everything is working. So I'm on the event page now. You can see all of the details about the event, and here we can add the ticket to our cart. In here we can fill in all of the attendee information, check in all these boxes regarding communication preferences and terms of use, and then click continue. In here I'm just gonna add mock Stripe data to make sure that the payments are working. You can find more details on that in the link in the description. Okay, and the payment was successful. As you can see, the QR code was also generated, which the staff will be able to scan to actually check in the attendee into the event. And we can click on View My Events to actually see our bookings, as well as our tickets and the QR codes for each ticket that was generated. Now I went back to my Stripe account and we can actually see the payment that we received from the previous booking where we were testing it out. We can click on the booking itself and see all the information about our customer. Now let's sign out and sign in as the host. Everything seems to be working well here. Let's check out the actions. In here we have a lot of management options. We can archive, delete, and even manage the attendees. By the way, the apps that Rocket generates are all responsive. In the top right, you can actually click and check out the different screens. For example, the mobile version here. Now let's actually test out the adding staff functionality. We can click on the button here. Then I filled in all of the staff info, and then let's click on add staff. We added this new staff member to our team, and now if you click on assignments, we can actually assign them to the event. We can set their shift and then click add assignment. They've now been added to this event. And we even have an activity tab where we can see all of their recent activity. Now let's test out the create event functionality, make sure that works perfectly as well. I filled in all the info here and then clicked on continue to venue. In the venue section, I'm gonna add all the venue information as well, and then continue to ticketing. In the ticketing, we can set the price for our tickets as well as the benefits. And we can even add an early bird pricing. And here we have a few more options. We can add a promo code and a few other settings here on the left. Then we can click on publish event, and we will see it live here. Okay, and I signed in back as attendee to make sure that the event shows up and it's working perfectly. Now the next thing I'd like to integrate is Twilio. Twilio is an SMS and communication API. We'll be using it to set up SMS reminders for our attendees events. However, you can use it for many other use cases in your app. For example, you can use it to send your users verification messages, or you can use it to set up notifications for delivery apps or even customer support. So I prompted Rocket to integrate Twilio into our app. I filled in all of the info asked here, like Twilio account SID, as well as Twilio authentication token and the phone number. Then click continue, then deploy to Supabase. And now as the attendee, I have the send SMS option so that I can actually enter my phone number and send the ticket details directly to my phone. Now, once your app is complete, you can click in the top right and press publish to actually upload it to the web. I've already done that, so now let's go a step beyond and actually add a custom domain. If you click the add domain button, another window will appear. Here we can paste our domain, then click add domain, and we'll have to use the info provided by Rocket to actually update our DNS records. So I'm gonna go to my domain provider, which in our case is GoDaddy. Then I'm gonna click on DNS. I'm gonna click add new record. Then I'm gonna add a type A record. For name, I'm gonna add @ and then I'm gonna add the IP address that Rocket gave us. Then click save and wait for the DNS record to be updated. Now, if you want to, you can also add the other record, but in our case, this is enough. And now we can see our app live on the domain that we added. If you want to, you can also set up the HTTPS certificate as well, but that usually takes some time to process, so we're not going to do that in this video. Now, the last integration that I set up was the Resend integration. What Resend is an email API. It allows us to automatically send emails emails to our users. In our case, I'm gonna use it to send confirmation emails to our users after booking, as well as when signing up. You can use Resend for your app for account verification, resetting users' emails, newsletter updates about your app, marketing emails, and all kinds of notifications within your app. To set up the Resend integration, I've headed over to the Domains tab in my Resend account. There I clicked on Add Domain. In the Name tab, I've entered our custom domain name. I chose US for the region, and after that, Resend gave us a list of DNS records that we need to add. So for that, I've headed back to our domain provider, which is once again GoDaddy. I clicked on Add New Record. In the type, I chose MX. In the name settings, I added send.msg, which is what Resend told us to do. Set priority to 10 and copy-pasted the value. After that, I clicked Save to update the DNS records. Then I headed back to Resend and clicked on I've added the records. After a few minutes, those records were verified and we can now send emails from our custom domain. I've scrolled down to configuration and made sure to enable click tracking as well as open tracking. After that, to actually integrate Resend, I went back to Rocket and prompted to integrate Resend. After a few seconds, it asked for our API key, so I just headed back to Resend, went to the API key tab, clicked on Create API Key, give it a name and generated the new key. I then pasted my API key and Rocket generated a new Edge function, which I then had to deploy to Supabase. After deploying that Edge function, I then gave Rocket a little bit more context on what we'll be using Resend for. I told it that we'll be sending emails to the users that sign up to our app. Rocket then generated 2 more Edge functions, which I also deployed to Supabase. And to finalize our setup, I once again went back to Resend, went to the Integrations tab and clicked Connect to Supabase so that I can give Resend access to our Supabase organization. Then I just had to authorize some permissions, select the correct project, make sure that the right domain is chosen here, and then click Add API Key. Then I had to configure SMTP, so I just gave it a quick name, headed back to my Supabase project, went to emails, and made sure all my SMTP settings are correct as well. Then I clicked Save Changes, went back to my Rocket project and clicked Deploy to Supabase. After this, our Resend integration should be ready to go. But let's go back and test out our full web app. I'm gonna try signing up as an attendee. I've entered my email here, I've entered the password and then click create account. Okay, that works. And as you could see, we've got a confirmation email and we can click here to actually confirm it. Now let's click on an event that we like, scroll down, add a ticket, click book. Then I'm gonna once again enter mock Stripe data and then pay for the ticket. Okay, we got our ticket booked and we've got a QR code generated. Let's try downloading the ticket as a PDF. That works. And if you go to my tickets, we can see this event as well as our QR code. We can also click send SMS to send it to our phone. Let's sign out. Now let's try signing up as the host. I've entered all the information and then click sign up. And here we got the welcome as well as the confirmation email, all working perfectly. Now, one quick thing to mention is that when you publish your app with Rocket, you can do so directly to your Netlify account, meaning that you have full control over your app's hosting and you do not need to have an active Rocket account to have your app running, meaning that you own all of the code that you generate and that you've built on Rocket. But now that we're done with our web app version, let's finally build the mobile app. For our use case, to make sure that we get our prompt right, I went to ChatGPT, gave it a prompt of what I want our app to look like, and then I went to our Supabase project. I went to Schema Visualizer so that we can see the entire schema of our app. I downloaded that schema, added that to my ChatGPT prompt, and told it to integrate that schema into our mobile app prompt. Then I copied the prompt that ChatGPT gave me, went to Rocket, chose mobile app, and then entered the prompt there. Rocket then asked us for the screens that we want to generate. Once again, I've selected all of the screens, and now we just wait for the screens to get generated. And one quick but important note to add here is that this process that we just did would work for other vibe coding platforms as well. So if you already have a web app built out on, let's say, Lovable or Replit, and it also uses Supabase as the backend, you can do the exact same thing. Go to your Supabase project, export the schema, and then use that schema within your prompt to generate a mobile app with Rocket. A few minutes later, our app is now ready. Let's check it out. Here we have the login screen, the home screen, looks good as well. Let's see if the search works. All good here. The ticket page looks good as well. and the profile page also looks good. Let's check out the host dashboard. All good there. My events also looks good. Creating new event works as well. Attendees also works. So does the staff management and the profile page as well. Next up, I just told Rocket to add in one more user type for the actual staff so that they can log in on the mobile and use the QR code scanner to check in the attendees. Okay, that worked. Let's go to the staff dashboard. Looks good here. Okay, however, I noticed when we click on profile, it actually changes the menu at the bottom. So actually it takes us to the user login, which is not the correct behavior. So I just prompted Rocket to fix that. Okay, Rocket completed that request. So let's now actually integrate the Supabase project from our web app. So I'm gonna prompt Rocket telling it to integrate our Supabase to access the existing data from there, including user, host, and staff details. Rocket will now ask us to select the project. So here we just have to make sure that we select the same project that we set up for our web app. I've selected event grid and I'm gonna click save. Okay, we've encountered an error here, so we can just click on fix and let Rocket figure it out. Now on the free plan, fixing does use some tokens. However, if you're in the paid plan and Rocket messes up or there's some kind of error, you can click fix it and it fixes it for free. No tokens are used. Okay, it seems like the error was fixed, so let's try signing in as the host. The sign-in works, the dashboard looks good, events, okay, and the other buttons are all working as well. Let's try creating a new event. I'm just gonna fill in all the info here, upload an image, then set up the location details, then set up the ticket pricing as well as the second tier, and then click create. Okay, I'm gonna sign out, then I'm gonna try actually signing up as a new user to make sure that works on mobile as well. Let's sign up as an attendee. Okay, we've got the confirmation email. I'm just gonna click confirm and that works. We can see the events. We can actually book them as well and we can check out. Let's try paying the mock Stripe data again. Okay, it looks like the Stripe payment didn't work. In our case, I'm gonna take a screenshot of the payment failed and send it through in the chat box and then tell Rocket that the edge functions are already made, so to make sure to reuse them from the existing Supabase schema. We have to make sure to clarify that, as it might generate another edge function which we do not need, as we already have them set up with our Supabase integration. Okay, we got an error here, which is not a problem. I just clicked on fix it as well. Let's try testing it out again. I'm gonna enter mock data here. I'm gonna enter an email. Okay, and this time our payment was successful. We can click through and see the QR code that was generated for our attendee. Okay, let's sign in as the host again. I'm gonna go to booking management and then I'm gonna add a new staff member. I filled in all the info and I'm gonna click add new staff member. However, we got an error. So once again, I took a screenshot, sent it through in the chat box and told Rocket to fix it. Okay, we had to push some schema to Supabase and now it should be working. So let's try adding a staff member one more time. Filled in all the info. I'm gonna click add new staff member. Okay, this time it worked. Okay, so let's sign in as that staff member. Then I'm gonna go to QR code. Okay, that functionality is not working yet as it's using the dummy QR code scanner. So I'm gonna tell Rocket to integrate the actual functionality with the real camera so that we can actually scan the QR codes. Here we go, the camera actually works and we can scan our QR code. Amazing. At the bottom we can see it says QR code validated successfully. I've headed over to my Supabase project and then I went to the bookings table and we can see in the table that the QR has been validated. It went from false to true and we can actually see the timestamp for when it was validated and who it was validated by. And for some reason, if the staff member's camera doesn't work, they can actually click on manual and then they can enter the booking reference manually to still check in the attendee. As you could see, that just worked as well. We could see that was validated in our database. And if we try to scan the same QR code again, our app will actually tell us that this QR code has been validated already. Now, if we want to publish our mobile app, it's the same as the web app. We just go on the top right and then click publish on web. And our app will be published so that we can actually click on this link and actually access it. This link can be accessed from the phone and then the users can just use it within their browser. Now, we don't have this functionality yet, but we're working on it and it will be coming in the future. But at some point, you'll be able to publish directly to Android and iOS store from this menu. However, for now, if you wanted to publish your app, there is a few more steps that you will have to take. And if you want to learn exactly how to do that, you can click the link in the description and you can see the guide on how you can do it both for the Android store and the Apple Store. Now, if you want to test your app, you can actually click on the build button here and wait for Rocket to generate an APK file. Once the file is generated, you can download it and actually test it out on your phone. To see how you can actually test that APK file on your Android phone, we will leave a link in the description down below as well. You can just follow the steps there, and that way you can install this app on your phone and actually test it out. And that's it. The zero code, zero complications. We built out an entire event management platform with bookings, payment processing, emails, SMS messages that works both on web as well as mobile. Now, if you want to start vibe coding your own ideas into reality, make sure to click the link in the description and you can try Rocket for free. As I mentioned before, you get 1 million tokens, which is more than enough to build a very basic app, a website or a landing page. And make sure to check out other links in our description as well to join our Discord community and check out our X profile for inspiration on what you can actually build. And I will see you all in the next video.